Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on former WBA regular heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois following his 10th round TKO victory over Jarrell Big Baby Miller on the Day of Reckoning, the December 23rd Day of Reckoning DAZN pay-per-view supercard that took place, as I said, on December 23rd. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, Daniel Dubois following this win, I mean, it was a good, solid win. A lot of people thought Big Baby Miller might pull out the victory. I picked Dubois, though, to do exactly what he did, to box and stick and outwork the fighter that was 10 years his senior and break him down and stop him. Miller, 330-something pounds at that weight. I don't know how he made it 10 rounds, but props to him. But Daniel Dubois showed why he is the fighter that he is and where he's at. Big time win, bounces right back from that loss to Alexander Usyk, and he's right back in the mix and in the top 10. So now let's run through the top 10 and see what could possibly be next for the former secondary heavyweight champion. We start with a Tyson Fury clash. Not likely. Fury's the WBC champion. Not to say he wouldn't fight a guy like Dubois, but he's fighting Usyk next in February. Usyk, if he were to beat Usyk, then Usyk could, essentially, if he were to beat Usyk, Fury might be interested in that fight. It's an easy fight to make, but he probably wouldn't be because Usyk has an automatic rematch clause. So I don't see Dubois and Fury next. And Usyk, a rematch. I don't think Dubois has done enough to earn a rematch, even if Fury didn't want a rematch if Usyk were to beat him. So maybe Usyk, if he loses and doesn't want a rematch with Fury, would entertain a rematch with Dubois. But if he suffers such a beatdown loss to where he doesn't want a rematch with Fury, I don't think Usyk fights the rest of the year. So I don't see him and Dubois happening next, not at all. Then Anthony Joshua, interesting fight right here. Joshua might say, fuck it, I'll fight a big name, another big heavyweight like a Daniel Dubois and bide his time ahead of a rematch, ahead of a showdown with potentially Tyson Fury. I think Joshua really wants to sit and decide what he wants to do, but a fight with Dubois is not a bad option. Dubois is there to hit. Joshua's the better boxer. Would be a big draw in the United Kingdom or even in Saudi Arabia if they fought. But it's a good matchup. I'm leaning towards the less likely, but I do think it is a possibility for Joshua. Then next up for a potential fight for Dubois would be Filip Hrgović. I'm not seeing it. Dubois is ranked number 8 in the IBF right now, and unless he, Hrgović is likely fighting for the vacant title next, because the IBF belt's gonna become vacant when the loser of the Fury Usyk fight invokes a rematch clause, which is very likely to happen after they fight in February, and the winner would be stripped by the IBF, so the belt will go vacant. But once that happens, Hrgović has a bunch of names ahead of Dubois that will likely take the fight. So I don't see Dubois and Hrgović next. Then there's Zhilei Zhang. I wouldn't be surprised. Zhang wants to continue to fight ahead of a major fight, and if he can't get any of the big dogs to sign on for a fight with him, I think he'd be totally down to fight a guy like Dubois. And I think Dubois at this range, he'd walk into that fight looking at it going like, hey, I'm 15 years younger than this guy. I can beat him. And I think he might take a fight like that. So I do think that is a real possibility to potentially happen next for the WBO interim championship, a showdown between Zhang and Daniel Dubois for the WBO interim title. Then there's after Zhang, there's Joe Joyce, a rematch with him, the former 2-time champ. I mean, the former interim champ. I think that fight's possible, but for later in the year. Joe Joyce has got to get some cred back. Daniel Dubois is carrying some cred right now. I don't think he'd want to ruin making the rematch a bigger fight by taking it on next when Joe Joyce is coming off back-to-back losses to Zhang. Then there's Joseph Parker. I believe a showdown with Joseph Parker is definitely possible for Dubois, but Parker I also think is in a better position right now for a bigger fight other than that. So Parker could land the Anthony Joshua fight. Parker could land the vacant IBF title fight with what's his name, Hrgovic. So it just really depends on how it shakes out. But if these two guys are the odd men out, I definitely think they'd be down to fight each other for sure, right there. Then I believe I got Dubois after Parker in the top 10, and then a showdown with Deontay Wilder. Now, I think Dubois would be down for a showdown with Wilder. I think he absolutely would take that fight. Would Wilder want a guy like Dubois? I mean, Dubois can be hit. He's not a guy that moves as well as Parker does. So, and I think Dubois would take the fight. So, if Wilder wants to come back and fight somebody, Daniel Dubois is a prime target, and I definitely think it's possible. And then finally, rounding it out is Ajit Kabayel. If Dubois can't find anybody else, I think he might consider Kabayel. But I really do think Dubois has a name and people want to fight him. He has an attractive style. So I think he can draw probably a better opponent than that. But I think Dubois is knocking back on the door for a title shot and to be in the future mix for a title shot. All he has to do is he's got to keep winning. That's easier said than done, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dubois does next. So we'll see what happens. Realistically, in the top 10, I don't think there's any favorite over anybody else for Dubois. I think he's open to a lot of different opponents and options, and I think he would cash in on them for sure. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on the former secondary heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel Dubois, following his impressive 10th round TKO victory over Jarrell Big Baby Miller on the DAZN pay-per-view Day of Reckoning Supercard that took place on December 23rd. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. And this is True Boxing, and you've been hit with the truth.